Have you ever wanted a knife by Sharp by Design, Brian Nadeau, but you just don't have the $300, $400, $500, $1,000 it takes to buy one? How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And if you've wanted one of his knives, or maybe you just like his design, but find the price range is just too far out of reach, smash the like button, head on down to the comments section and let me know, because today we're talking about this guy. This is the Eikonic Aperture, designed by, you guessed it, Brian Nadeau of Sharp by Design. Now, if you don't know who Brian Nadeau is, go ahead and look up Sharp by Design. And if you do, you will find a ton of knives that are very, very beautiful looking knives at a very expensive price tag. And up until recently, you've kind of had to pay that tax in order to get one. But not anymore, because Eikonic is working with popular designers that typically have very expensive knives to bring you a knife under $100. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite drink, and strap in, because my friends, it's about to get bumpy. All I gotta say is that it's about time we got a Sharp by Design knife that didn't cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I've been excited about the Eikonic lineup. There's a Chavez, there's one from Jonas Iglesias, there's this one, which is designed by Brian Nadeau of Sharp by Design, and just look at that. The action is snappy. I know I didn't really go through the unboxing experience. There's the box. It's meant to double as a display piece, but I honestly wouldn't use it that way. That's what they said, is they want something you can put on your desk. Man, this is going on the shelf or in another box. What we're here for is this. Now, this is not a huge knife, but I can still get a full 4-finger grip on here, no problem. And something that I'm noticing right away is this jimping. Not only is that jimping an adequate depth, it's also an adequate length. You can't really choke up behind the blade here, because even though it does have this cutout, that is more of a sharpening choil. I do kind of wish that it had been designed with a finger cutout to line up perfectly with that jimping, but it's not, and ultimately I'm okay with it. The Eikonic logo doubles as the pivot, and then they also double up on the billboarding by putting it there as well. I do think that it would have looked better without it. The lettering doesn't really do anything for me, but that's just a personal choice. It's not a huge bother, that's literally just a nitpick. You'll notice that it has a deep carry style pocket clip, and I say style because it's this rounded stamped clip. It doesn't fully come out the whole way, so even though you have this clip, this much will be sticking out of your pocket. Other than that, I actually do like the look of this clip. I like that it's stone-washed. The stone-washed clip is a really nice feature at the end of the day. And does it get in the way of the ergonomics? No, it does not. It is, in fact, a liner lock, and if we check the lockup on there, I'm going to say that that's coming in at a smooth 25%. Pretty decent. As far as disengaging, you will notice that it is chamfered, and it actually has some little divots right there. Not hard to depress, it's not hard on the fingers, and the action is smooth. Now, one thing that I do have to say is that even though this is a Brian Nadeau Sharp by Design, it does not have the Sharp by Design detent. The Sharp by Design detent is basically a proprietary style of detent that looks like an upside down pyramid, and it creates amazing results. It does not have that. This is an Eikonic knife that's been designed by Brian Nadeau, but that doesn't mean that it has all of his fancy gizmos. What it does have is a perfectly normal, really good, snappy detent. It snaps back in nicely. The moment you overcome the detent, it flies out, which is good. I mean, it's really good. The D10 on here is solid. So I'm glad that even though we're not getting the Brian Nadeau proprietary D10, that we at the very least still get a good one. Now, the satin finish does look nice. It's nice and shiny. I personally would prefer a bit of a coating on here. That's just me. It's not super thick behind the edge either, so it's going to be fairly slicey. And the liners are, in fact, shadow boxed. So it's not necessarily super slim, but it does feel good in the hands. Now, this one is the burlap micarta version, and you'll notice that that burlap micarta it looks great. Honestly, it kind of looks like crocodile skin. It doesn't feel like crocodile skin, but it feels really good. A natural grip for this knife is going to be a saber grip, but you can, in fact, go ahead and do a reverse grip if you want. That's totally fine. The swoop in the tail end of those handle scales is going to allow for that, and it's going to create a nice capped off reverse grip if that's your jam. Now, as far as the rest of the design is considered, it's called the Aperture because an aperture is like the window of a camera, right? And in this case, it's the window going through the knife. And when the knife is closed, it's actually a pretty beautiful design. Now, personally, I would prefer a coated blade because I can totally see crap in my pockets getting in that window and dinging up the blade, which if you like the way a knife looks, maybe you don't want to ding it up when it's just in your pocket. Maybe you want to ding it up by using it, not by just putting it in your pocket. And so that's why I think that a coating on this blade would be pretty wise. I'm not entirely sure if you can buy a version with like a black coated blade, but I sure hope so. And if not now, maybe later they'll include one. At the moment, I love the design. It is open backed except for this small backspacer back here, which does not actually protect the blade itself in your pocket, which is a shame, but at least we still get some kind of backspacer, right? Other than that, you'll notice that there is no internal milling because the internal milling is the aperture. It's the window. So ultimately, I'm impressed with the overall design. I do kind of wish that it was a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, but that's usually the case when it comes to smaller knives. It doesn't mean that you can't get a full 4-finger grip. It just means that I wish that it was longer. Let's go ahead and do a quick comparison up against a well-known knife. We'll do the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 to give you an idea of the length. And yeah, so the Paramilitary 2 is quite a bit longer. What about width? It is, in fact, bang on for being very close. It might be a smidge thicker than the Paramilitary 2, but not by much. Now, if you're wondering how much this weighs, let's go ahead and ask the scale. It weighs 2.68 ounces. So we're looking at just around a 3-inch blade with just shy of 3 ounces for the weight, which is going to give it a really, really nice balance. The action is really, really good on this, by the way, and you'll notice that I keep flicking this out. I think that this is actually rather a very fidget-friendly knife, not because it was built to be fidget-friendly, but because of things like a really snappy detent as well as ball bearings. The way that it falls shut, it's not a guillotine, okay? It's not a guillotine. It's not going to slam shut on your finger, but that has a lot to do with the overall weight of the design, so I'm okay with that. The blade steel is, of course, a D2. Now, I know that when we're approaching the $90 mark, and this one I believe is around $88, people don't necessarily like to see D2. I will say this. What you're paying for with these Eikonic knives is the chance to get a design from a popular designer whose knives typically cost a lot more than this. Now, if you've ever sat there and said,
man, I just wish that I could get a Ramon Chavez, a Sharp by Design, for a realistic price. I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars.
I can tell you that in my comment section, I see it all the time. Wow, that's a cool knife, but I don't want to spend $300. Here's your opportunity, because now you can get a design from one of these designers without spending hundreds of dollars. In fact, you won't even spend $100. You'll get it underneath that. Now, how well does this perform against other knives in the $100 and under category? That is something that you will have to wait to find out with when I do my grail or garbage ranking, because this being under $100 means that it's going up against some very stiff competition on my budget banger leaderboard in the $100 and under category. So if you like this, guys, and you're interested to see how I rank it, make sure you hit subscribe and tap that notification bell, because when that video comes out, you'll definitely want to see where this stacks up.